That's good. Really?
Maybe it'll be at one of the tables here. Somebody might. I didn't see. I just saw.
Like the BLM. I was talking to an orthopedic surgeon.
Alright, we're going to try this from the back of the pickup. So if you kind of want to bring in your ears anyway, we're going to do a little bit of talking for a few minutes. Senator Ray Scott's going to speak. I think Commissioner Puglisi and possibly Commissioner McGinnis, Congressman McGinnis as well. But I just kind of want to explain a few things, because I know some of you maybe have never heard of Public Land Access Association, and you might have some questions on our petitions. So, Public Land Access Association started up in March 2014, just a little over a year ago. And who is PLAA? So the foundation of PLAA is legal research. Okay, researching these legal public highways based on federal law and state law. That is really the foundation of our group. We work hard with our county commissioners, our state representatives, to try to bring them into this legal process. You know, we're lucky because we have some great examples next door in Mesa County. Not only all of eastern Utah, which has 12,000 revised statute 2477 routes in litigation today, but we also have Garfield County next door, largely because Commissioner John Martin over there has started historical route research on all their public land roads. So you might say they're preparing for that legal battle. And ultimately, I think that's the main way we're going to keep these roads open, not only for the proposed closures now, but for the future amendments to these resource management plans. And also, don't forget, in 20 years, we'll have another resource management plan. And we all know that they're probably not going to be building many routes between now and then, and they'll surely come back for more closures in 20 years. So what we're trying to do now is start to defend these legal right-of-ways with the legal process. PLAA has been instrumental in writing a couple resolutions at the county level. The road resolution last year, as well as a resolution with the associated governments of Northwest Colorado. We've also recently been able to help with Senate Bill 39, which only directs with police powers on public lands. And believe it or not, there's a lot of confusion on who's in charge on our public lands. And what I'm talking about specifically there is police powers as far as if there's a crime committed. And to protect the public, I think we have to clarify that. And I think Senator Lambert's doing a good job. And Senator Ray Scott is the one that got us involved with the process. And we actually have submitted a similar resolution that kind of mirrors Senate Bill 39 to the Mesa County Commissioners for consideration. Who is PLAA? That's about us in a nutshell, but be sure you visit our website, PLAA.co, or look us up on Facebook. Now, who are we? Who are we not? Lots of times we get confused for some reason with the American Lands Council. And we don't do anything with the transfer of public lands. My attitude with that is Colorado is not politically aligned to really consider that at this point. So we can just sit back and watch what happens in Utah and Alaska. So there's a lot of misinformation out there on the topic, but we do not get involved with it. We're strictly about roads. We don't tear down gates. So if we're going to be a legal group, we can't be breaking laws, right? And so we're not about civil disobedience. We're about working with our elected officials, because that's really the only way the route's going to stay open in the long term. But don't be confused. We are not partners with the BLM. We are truly an independent third party. We have no affiliation with grant monies coming from the state or any other entity. We are on our own. And I think that's the best way to make sure that you don't start going down an agenda-driven path, is to be truly independent. We really work on local control. So we have 3 different petitions. Sorry, I don't have a... Actually, can you bring that up? And I want to try to help explain them, because there's a lot of stuff going on in Colorado that we've figured out and most folks don't know about. First, I'm going to go actually over the road closure miles. You know, the BLM is putting in the press that it's 852 miles. The Daily Sentinel was much closer when they reported 1,401 miles. The thing we all have to remember is Zone L behind us in the desert is on hold. So they're going to implement that later. There's 545 miles of routes out there. It's got the highest density of routes. So I think it's totally fair to assume we're going to see a 60% closure out there as well. So you can add 250 to that number and be pretty safe. The other thing is the BLM has a very open mind about open roads, let's say that. And what I mean by that is if it was motorized now, and it's going to be just motorcycle or less than 50-inch, in their mind it's still open to the public. But if you're me and my kids in this truck, you're closed out of those roads. And don't forget there's going to be 203 more miles of seasonal closures. Those roads are closed half the year. So I think it's real safe to say that we're going to be looking at about 2,000 miles of closures. If you're used to driving around in a truck, the number is actually going to be higher than that. The petition for the governor. So ultimately, Governor Hickenlooper has to sign off on this RMP. So that's why this petition is important. And the fact that Senator Ray Scott's here, and I think Senator Lambert, and maybe Senator Sonnenberg talked about, and some of our other elected representatives, hopefully Dan Thurlow and Yulin Willett will sign off on it. But we're going to ask him not to sign this thing. It's going to have a negative impact on our community, our economy. You got to remember, Covco and Colorado Parks and Wildlife came out with numbers. You can safely say $250 million a year is spent in Mesa and Garfield counties between hunting and fishing and motorized recreation. The average elk hunter is 59 years old, folks. You close down 60% of our routes, they're going to go hunt somewhere else. Same goes with motorized recreation. The congestion is going to go up big time on these routes. Your privacy, your valued experiences with peace and quiet in the wilderness are going to be impacted because your camper is going to be driven by about 40 times a day versus once or twice. It's going to change things a lot. So that's kind of the idea with the governor petition, is to try to address that. And we're reminding the governor that a lot of these routes match the state laws that define them as public highways. There's 3 state laws that Colorado passed since 1876 that defines legal right-of-ways. Why did we do that? Why did our state legislature pass those bills if they never had the authority to do so? Think about it. At some point, the state stood for our legal right-of-ways, but now we're largely ignoring them, and we're trying to take action on that front. I can tell you this, when you reopen a RS 2477 right-of-way, it's a combination of that federal statute plus your state laws. The good news is this: when Colorado gets going, we have better state laws protecting our public highways than Utah. Utah requires 10 years. You got to prove 10 years of access on that route. We have no such restriction in Colorado. We just have to prove that that route was built prior to October 21st, 1976 on unreserved public lands. We can do it. The second petition, more on RS 2477. This one's for our county commissioners. We appreciate what they've done. They've stepped up. In fact, I think we should give Commissioner Puglisi, Congressman McGinnis, and Commissioner Justman a round of applause for passing the road resolutions and making a stand. Thank you. But here's the thing, we're not done yet. If we're going to protect these right-of-ways, we got to follow the examples next door. Start researching and documenting the historical uses of these routes, so we can at least sit down at the table with the federal government and say, if we have to take you to court, you're going to lose because of A, B, C, and D. Garfield County's having some success with those conversations. So we may not have to take these all to court. And I know a lot of people have financial concerns and cost concerns about it. Well, when you look at the litigation in Utah, there's hundreds of routes on one piece of litigation. So we don't have to do one road at a time. I want us to focus on our vested interest routes. Do you guys remember that process during the draft comment period? We all got together at the fairgrounds. As a community, we identified 800 miles of high-value recreational routes, and the county called them vested interest routes. Why did we do that? Because the BLM, if you look at slide 17 in their presentation, has a slide, and I got an example floating around here somewhere, that says we won't close county roads or vested interest county roads. So we got together as a community. We took action. We identified the routes. What happened? They ignored them. Not only did they ignore a lot of the ones that the county had identified in the scoping period prior to 2013, but they surely ignored the new ones that you and I got together on and worked with our county commissioners on. So I want this petition to be directed towards those routes and the historical research behind those, because you guys have identified those as high value. I want to read the slide from the BLM presentation, just so you know what I'm quoting. It says, common factors here in the RMP. County roads remain open in all alternatives, as well as roads with a county interest, in parentheses, roads county told us that are important for access. The last petition is something I've known about for about a year and a half, but there was so much going on I didn't want to clutter. But it's kind of now or never on this stuff. And it addresses the Colorado Parks and Wildlife grants. These are grant monies, about $3.2 million a year, if I remember right. They come from yours and mine ATV permit monies. We all pay $25 a year per vehicle. Well, about 60% of that money is going back to the federal government in the form of grants to implement these resource management plans. But it goes a step beyond that. We have about 10 or 12 of them up there if you want to take a copy. This is the summary from the Grand Junction BLM grant last year. They got $80,000 from the Colorado Parks and Wildlife. It can be used to implement the resource management plan, and get this, can be used it says non-system routes will be decommissioned and possibly rehabbed. These are the same routes that have the same legal definition basically as the 12,000 roads that are under litigation in Utah. Now, why is our state, instead of using these monies to do what Utah is doing to protect our access, they're helping fund the closures based on the persistence of the BLM? That's a big problem. So that's one of our petitions. We want to start the conversation with the state about using our ATV permit monies, and they do some of it. Some of it goes towards maintaining routes. There's some groups in the crowd and in the valley here that work with them, and they do some great things. But why would we want our monies to be used for a legal right-of-way closure where our county commissioners aren't at the table making a decision or helping make the decision? So that's something new probably a lot of you weren't aware of. Last thing I'm going to cover here is these are on the BLM's website, but it's a fact sheet, and it talks about protest comments. We're in a protest comment period until the 30th. Before you make your comments, you need to read through this. There's various interpretations to it. Basically, I've been told if you have a concern regarding a specific route, you have to wait till the next step, which is the legal appeal process, to really go after a specific route. But this is the time to address the report itself. There's been some name changing with our routes. I don't think that's correct as far as they present it to the community as A during the draft period, and now that the proposal comes out, they've reclassified a lot of the routes. Again, it's confusion. But before you spend the time to write up a comment during this process, please look at that fact sheet. Let's see, so I covered that. The last thing I want to talk about is a couple of examples that I have concerns on that I think could be protestable comments. One of them, you might have read about it in the paper the other day, is a route called G142. It's right near the Mesa County, Garfield County border by Quebec. In 1966, the Division of Wildlife established a hunting access easement on this road. I've hunted on this area. Anyway, So based on that, we know it was at least there in 1966. There's a recorded easement on it, and the BLM's closing the route. So there's an impact on our hunting heritage, you know, and this is just one example. I'd like to see CBW do more of these hunting access easements. I think it's a good thing. They haven't done many since, I don't think, the 80s. Another protestable comment is county roads. In the draft process, we were given credit for 510 county roads on public lands. For some reason, that number's gone down to 307. A county road stamp is a protection stamp. So I talked to Pete Bear, I've talked to Commissioner Puglisi about this. We're trying to get some clarification, because that's 200 miles of routes that are now under threat of closure if they're not going to recognize them as county routes. All right, that's all I got. That's probably too long the way it is, but I wanted you guys to get some factual information. Again, talk to the guys in the green shirts. I think we're going to have Senator Scott speak first. He's over here. We're going to help him get up in my truck. Thank you.
Good morning, or mid-morning, whatever the heck it is. Well, first of all, I want to thank this guy. The work that Brandon is doing is invaluable to the efforts that you all are so concerned about. He came to Denver, did some testimony, and just he kind of rocked the whole place, so he did a great job. So whatever he asked for, just give it to him. I don't think there's any mystery that people are very concerned about access to public lands. And, you know, it's obvious to us, this place back here is run by the Obama administration, so that's pretty obvious what's going on. They're making sure they can close down as much as possible so that we can't produce energy. You can't ride a four-wheeler. You can't even go ride and look at wildlife if you want to. And that wasn't the idea of our founders, as we all know. Our founders wanted us to enjoy our country, and that's what we deserve to get. But by you guys showing up and constantly, you know, beating the drum is what you got to do, there will be some changes. I mean, it's going to happen. And of course, it always goes back to that old saying that elections have consequences. They do it every time, and people find out the hard way how difficult it can be. And we're finding out now that after, about 6.5 years of the Obama administration, we've been in serious trouble. The interesting thing is that Brandon mentioned is that we did have a Senate bill this year, which is still stuck in the House, to help define for people in the state of Colorado jurisdiction over public lands. And I'll tell you what, it was amazing for me during the arguments in the Senate chamber how few people really understand the access and the jurisdiction issues. But again, thanks to Brandon here, there was a lot of folks' eyes opened. The problem we have is that, well, we do have a split house over in Denver, so it's kind of a real ugly soccer game that ends in a 0-0 tie. But that's probably good for you, because then nothing can happen. We can't change anything, we can't pass anything, which sometimes is not a bad way to go. But the sad thing that I found was during the discussions that somehow, some way, our opposition tried to spin this into something it's not, which is the selling off of public lands. And they came up with these wild schemes that they started talking about, that all we want to do is get control of public lands for the state, and then we would go sell them. It was just like, are you kidding me? These people want to protect public lands more than what the federal government wants to do. They have it completely backwards. So the arguments are very, very empty. But the bottom line is, we're going to have to wait a little bit longer, because the administration definitely has to change in Washington, D.C. before these guys behind you change their outlook. So keep that in mind in 2016. Hopefully we have a great candidate for president. We hope. We have no idea at this point who it's going to be, but you know, right now I think I would take You. I mean, anything would be better than what we got now. Well, I'm sorry, wait a minute. Sorry. But anyhow, I just want you guys to know I've got your back in Denver. We're fighting for these public land issues over there now. Can't promise you we can get anything passed. We're trying to kind of give a little bit more of a voice to the people that deserve to know where this is all going. So thank you very much. God bless all of you, and just keep fighting.
Thank you.
Speak as well.
Well, I want to say thank you for inviting me, Brandon, and again, thank you for all of your hard work. I will say, as a commissioner, when I started, these BLM issues first started arising, and that was almost 3 years ago. And thank God for Brandon, because he came to me and said, hey, this is a big issue. And I said, I don't understand this issue well enough to articulate it. And he says, I will work with you, I will teach you what I know, and we'll work on this together. And so for the past almost 3 years, we have been working on this together, and he has really helped take the county to a higher level than we would have been without his help. So thank you, Brandon, and thank you for organizing this today. I also want to say thank you to all of you. When I pulled up, I actually almost thought I was in the wrong place, because it wasn't the usual crowd of people that I normally see at events.
Yeah.
And I said, who are these people? And then I looked around and I see young people and families with your kids, because this is such an important issue to you that you're going to give up half of your day on a Saturday to bring your kids out here, maybe take them out of baseball, to make sure that you know that that we are working for you, and to make sure that we know that this is such an important issue that you would bring your families here to show us how important this issue is to you. So thank you to all of you for being here today, because it is so important for us as commissioners to be able to articulate that this is truly what our constituents want. And so I can see that, obviously, from the looks on people's faces as Brandon was talking, as Senator Scott was talking. This is such an important issue for Western Colorado. It's such an important issue for Mesa County, but this is a really important issue for our families. And that is the most important thing that we can do as commissioners, is protect our families and protect access. So one of the things I want to make sure you understand is that we have been working on this for 3 years, and we are prepared for whatever comes next. But we will not be able to do it as commissioners without every single one of you. You showed up today. I hope you'll show up tomorrow. I hope you will continue to show up and support us and help us. So this is what we need. Basically, the county submitted a list of roads and routes that were either county roads and routes or vested interest roads and routes, which you all came to us and said these are important, not just for our families, but for economic development, for the vitality of our community. And so we submitted all of that to BLM. This week we'll be having a workshop in which our staff has gone through all of the routes and roads that we had submitted to BLM, and they're going to tell us what I call what we've accomplished and what we failed. So on the accomplishment list are the ones that BLM said, yep, you're right, those are your roads. Fabulous. What we really need to focus on now, and the information we need to get out to all of you, are the ones that we lost, quote unquote. The ones that we did not accomplish getting open or remaining open. So what we're going to need to do is make sure you have all that information, and we're going to need you guys to work with us as a community and get us documentation to show these routes need to be open. And so we have all this information on our website. We will be continuing updating the website with information. And so I encourage you all to go on our website to get this information and to work with us. We're going to have dedicated staff 2 days a week at the county who are going to be working through all the information that you guys bring in. Because we can't just go to BLM and say, we want these open anymore. We've done that, it didn't work. So now we're going to have to prove to them that we need these open, and the proof is going to come from all of you. As Brandon said, it is hard. The county is in a tough position as far as finances are concerned, but we can do this, and we can do this all together. And I don't know, I hope it doesn't come to litigation. If it does, then that's where it needs to be. But before we get there, we need to get information together, documentation to show that these routes need to be open. And so that's where you guys will come in. We cannot do this without you. So I promise you, on behalf of our board, we will not let you down. Please don't let us down. We need your help. And so if you want these routes and roads to remain open, you're going to have to be involved, you're going to have to be invested, and you're going to have to work with us. But we will work with you. So please, please, please help us to keep these routes open, because we can't do it by ourselves. But we are a strong community, and there is no doubt in my mind that we will keep access open for our constituents. So thank you so much for being here today. Really appreciate it. And if you need anything from the county, we're here to help. Thanks.
Congressman McGinnis, Commissioner McGinnis will speak next. Rose brought up a couple of good points. You remember me talking about that resolution we got passed in 2014 at the county level? Why did the commissioners act? Because we had 1,806 signatures on our petition. We were nobody then. PLAA wasn't even born yet. So we need you guys to help us with this petition. We're not turning this in tomorrow. It's going to be out here for at least 30 days. It's on our website. It's on our Facebook page. You got to put this thing in your office. You got to share it with your friends and family. We want to get much beyond that 1,800 signatures this time. It's now or never. We appreciate it. I got to recognize the PLAA staff, the guys that have really helped. This hasn't just been me. Where's Linda Bestland?
Right here.
Right here. Linda Beston's our paralegal. She does a lot of legal research. Dan and Kelly, right over here. Where's John Taylor? Way back there by the signs. Larry's not here from our board. Jody Green is not on our board, but he's been a huge help. We appreciate Jody's help. And there's been Harry Talbot's been a huge help. Kevin McCarty, Brad Barker, I'm sorry, I'm going blank here, and Kevin King has helped. We've had a lot of helpers. I'm sure I forgot people, but I got to let the congressman speak. Thank you.
Jeff? Well, thank you very much. You should note how Brandon arranges this truck so that the view that the speaker gets from the commissioners, if you look north, is that airport building. Was that intentional? It's kind of depressing to see it over there. Hey, when I came in here today, I'll tell you the best signs I saw. I'm going to ask him to come up here and show them to you, because it reflects, I'm not talking about the art of the sign, but it reflects a message that is so critical for every one of us. So I asked the father, Luke, if he would allow his children to come up here and read these signs. Come on up here, guys. Let's line up. They live out in Loma on a ranch.
Nice.
They all snowmobile, but read the signs, the message, and look at the ages. Get out here where they see.
Come out here.
I'll read them quick so you guys in back can't see them. It says, "Save our lands, we are the future. I am the future. I want to hunt and fish. I want open access. I hunt, fish, ride. I am the future. I want access." That's why we're here, guys. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you.
Thanks, you guys. Luke, come here just for a second, Luke, and tell about your family and why these public lands. By the way, I just found out Luke grew up in Glenwood Springs. We live not very far from each other.
How are you guys today? Hey, most important thing that I'm here for is, we all grew up with public access, public lands. We all got to enjoy them, and I want to make sure that that they're open for these guys and for my grandchildren and for everybody else to come, so we can all grow up and enjoy Colorado while we live here.
So thanks guys. Thank you all for making this effort. I want to tell you what I did this morning, as I do 3 or 4 times a week. I got up very early, not because I like to do that, but because I want to beat the heat, and I went out to the McGinnis Canyons, to Rabbit Valley specifically. And I went through 5.5 miles, walked through 5.5 miles of it, and I want to tell you what I saw and what I didn't see. Here's what I saw. I saw several people camping. I saw people of all ages. I saw people that were walking. I saw motorcycles. I saw Razor ATVs. I saw SUVs. I saw mountain bikes. I saw open space as far as the eye could see, reminding us that 77% of our county is owned by the government and 20% of the remaining property is controlled by conservation easements. And I saw cattle. That's what I got to see this morning. And by the way, with most of the people, I saw one other person individually. And so myself. All the other people were families, just like Luke and his family. Let me tell you what I didn't see. I didn't see anybody off trail. I didn't see anybody doing illegal activity like taking an SUV where an SUV is not allowed, or riding a motorcycle up a cow trail. Didn't see any of that. Nobody was rude. Everybody that went by me either waved because they were on a vehicle or said hello to me. And throughout that entire walk, as is normal on every walk I go through out there, I never saw a cigarette butt, I never saw a can, I never saw a wrapper. This is all to say that we know how to be responsible on those lands. We care about those lands. Those lands are our recreation. Those lands are our economics. Not economics just through recreation, but the cattle this morning was pretty symbolic of it. And anybody that comes in here, we're going to see a lot of this in the next few weeks. We're going to see national organizations that want to close the public lands, that want to put everything under wilderness, that want to block us. You're going to start seeing them talk about how we abuse the public lands and how the growth out there, and we're ruining the future for the young people like Luke's children. They've never set foot on that land. They've never gone out and walked 5 miles, whatever. They've never been out there, but you're going to see a lot of opinions. So as Commissioner Rose said, it is very important when these people start submitting their side of the story and their letters to the editor. All of you have experienced public lands, and every one of you have had positive experiences out there. You wouldn't be here today. So please, you respond too. Write letters to the editor. Call in. And I'll tell you where the other side are experts on that "you said it" column in the Daily Sentinel. They call in there, and by the way, they don't have to give their name, they don't have to give any factual background, they just get to blab. So we got to start blabbing too. We got to put our side. The beauty of what we've got the truth. And none of you out there mind giving you your name, because we can back it up. And I'd be happy to take anybody, if anybody wants to join me, these people writing these kind of letters, tell them to come join me sometime. We'll take a walk if they can make it. We'll take a walk through there. So anyway, we're very devoted to this. I'm lucky. I feel very fortunate. I work with two great commissioners, John and Rose. And Brandon, I don't know, I keep reminding him there's something called family court. You don't pay some attention to that. Why? You're working all the time on this, man. But let's give a very special, I know a lot of people helped, but this guy has been nonstop. And the beauty of it, when Brandon hands me something with research, I don't have to double check it. I mean, it's not based on emotion, it's based on fact. And that's very, very helpful in my profession, representing you, working for you, that I don't have to go, I can rely on what he's got. So let's give a special hand, and thank you for letting me come.
We'll help you. Commissioner Justman's going to speak for a few minutes as well.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
When we went over this BLM routes, and they told us how they just had to close dead-end routes, and we've been discussing that for 2 years with them. And I said, so it may be a quarter mile, a half a mile dead-end route. I might want to go up there when I'm out ATVing with a friend or two, and we can go have a picnic lunch. You're off the main road. You really think like you're actually in the wilderness somewhat more than if you stopped right along the main road. Why do we have to close every dead-end route? It does not make sense to me. They have told us how, oh, there's 4 routes go to one destination. You only need one. Well, some of them are a little bit easier for maybe the younger folks or somebody that can't take the more challenging route. But if you close the other 3, in 10 years, that 4th one is going to be used so much they'll have to close it. I mean, what else can you say? And we have talked to them, and yesterday, for whatever reason, I got on the computer and I wound up going back to 2009 or 10 when Colorado and Ken Salazar was the head of the Department of Interior. Some of the things he did is why we're here today. I mean, I just never thought about it because it's that much back in the past. And I've used some of these roads around here for over 50 years. Some of them are the same as they were. Some of them have kind of slid shut where you used to be able to take your Jeep or even a two-wheel drive pickup as an ATV route today. There are other routes, that's fine, that's okay. But some of my experience is a little bit different than Scott's. I live fairly close to 21 Road, and you can go up there past the gas plant, and I am just amazed at what the people will throw out there for trash in in a week or 2 weeks' time at the most. And most of us here, probably everybody here, won't do it, but I've been up there camping. My wife and I will go up there a little bit so we can have a wilderness experience. She can watch TV. We got cell phone service. I mean, she's roughing it. But that one time we went, within 2 weeks, we went up one night, spent the night, then 2 weeks later we go back, and what had been clean now had an old couch or an old appliance down in this one hole. And why do people do that? I mean, I think they probably want to use the public lands too, but I think we have to be vigilant and watch. And, you know, I hate the Keystone Cop stuff, but with the right to use it, there's the responsibilities that go with it. And
bring it up there, I want to make sure they're carrying it back.
I mean, I don't know. It's pretty simple. I picked up 9mm 45 caliber brass laying on the ground. I took it home so I could reload it. But then there's the shotgun shells. I mean, I've seen numerous times up there where somebody or some people must have 50 rounds of shotgun empties laying there on the ground. It's just not pretty and sightly. How much does it take to clean it up? So maybe we need to spread the word on that. That's one of my thoughts. And bring your comments in. I know I'll be working on it this coming week some more, and I wish it was a simple solution to sit down or go to Washington and say, you got to fix this, we got to do something different. And we know that's not going to happen today. That's all I can say. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. So go ahead and look around. We got kids here. We got folks in wheelchairs. We got elderly. We got hunters and fishermen. We got recreational groups. It is truly now or never. You know, so if you help us get signatures on these petitions, that's one big thing you can do. You can do letters to the paper, letters to the state representatives, Hickenlooper. You know, continue to spread the word, but stay involved. We have to keep the momentum going because once, like I said, once they're closed, really the only thing left at that point is court. So we want to keep the communication and the research going. And I appreciate, go ahead.
Daily Sentinel is not the only newspaper around here.
Absolutely. Ron Bain's down here from the Watchdog, so read that. I know I talked to a Delta, I was a Delta radio station this week, but Delta's covered some of this. And, you know, yeah, Facebook is a huge one. But, you know, we're continuing to work and get information to our new sheriff. And, you know, we talked a little bit about Senate Bill 39 and jurisdiction. I get the privilege to teach a jurisdiction on public land class June 4th in Montrose to the 27 new county sheriffs in the state of Colorado. So we are helping educate not only elected officials but elected sheriffs on this matter because it is largely understood. And we're going to keep it up, so we appreciate your support. It's misunderstood. Absolutely. Sorry, I get ahead of myself sometimes. What am I forgetting? Jeff McCloskey, David Cox.
When's the petition deadline to give it back to you?
We're looking at about 30 days, I'm thinking. We'll collect signatures for at least 30 more days.
So people can take some home and give them.
Yeah, if we have extra ones, take one home, but you're probably going to have to print them off of Facebook or our website. Again, you can sign the electronic version, share the link, right? So email the link to our website so those folks can sign those 2 petitions as well. Go ahead.
I think one question a lot of people have had is why are they closing the land down? Could you address that, or maybe one of our representatives?
So why are they closing the land down? And, you know, there's not really a good explanation on most of these routes. During the draft process, they didn't really tell us anything. They get into it a little bit in the proposal, but it's a lot of theoretical theories, basically. And, you know, one of the things we're going to be talking about with folks is we're talking, you know, what we really need is what Utah has. It's called the Public Land Policy Commission Office. It's a state office that assists the counties and RMPs endangered species uplistings, road closures, and the various threats to the county by the federal government. We don't have any state office anymore. And so we're starting that conversation and tying in everything from economy and gas to recreation to water rights. And I think we need to keep going in that direction. But as far as why they're closing the routes, you know, lots of times it's because they've slapped a new area designation over an area. In '87, they had one area designation, wilderness study areas. Now there's like 12, right? You have wildlife habitat, you got riparian zones, you have areas of critical environmental concern, you have areas with wilderness characteristics. I can go on and on. But why do they slap all these name tags all over their maps? Why are there so many different color codes? Because ultimately they want to limit what? Gas and access? Mining? Right? Anything to do with water? So it's control. So that's why it's important that we stay involved, because folks, it's not going to get any worse, but there are things we can do that'll help protect our economy, our family heritage, and our freedoms, but we have to stay engaged. So I appreciate you all coming out. If you want to stick around for a while and walk along the road with your sign, you're more than welcome. If you have questions, come on up. Am I forgetting anything else? Thank you for coming.